we have with us Teddy Burris of Burris Consulting. Teddy is a LinkedIn strategist and trainer. Since early 2010, he has been delivering LinkedIn training and coaching programs for business professionals, guiding them around the best practices and tactics of using LinkedIn as a business tool. Teddy uses his Toastmaster, Sandler training, networking skills, and certified social media strategist experiences to lead people in the best uses of LinkedIn. Teddy regularly delivers strategic planning, corporate training and coaching, public speeches, seminars, workshops, virtual training, and one-on-one coaching to help others master LinkedIn for business. Please welcome Teddy Burris.
Thank you, Holly. Let me get my mouse working, and you should see my first slide. So I think I have about 45 minutes worth of content and ideas and perspectives to share with you. My goal is to poke you and make you think about how you're using LinkedIn. Predominantly, this conversation is around networking. And I built this conversation around what I call rules. And for me, rules are pretty hard and fast. There's not a lot of wiggle room in rules. Unlike best practices, you can adjust and pivot. But I really think that these rules are serious enough and value deliverable, value creation enough that they shouldn't be altered. So let's start from the top, and I'll work my way down. Oh, just a little bit more about me. I've been doing this since 2007, pretty much full time since 2010. I love to help people figure it out. And the way I can do it is I play/experiment with LinkedIn almost every day so that I can understand all of the nuances and features about it so that I can help other people. And if you can't find me on the internet, that means you don't have internet connection, because I'm all over the internet with TL Burris, RRISS. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Quora, Snapchat, WeChat. I'm not on Tinder. I blog. I have my own website. Again, very intentionally, very strategically designed for me to be in the places where my target audience can find me. I hope everybody understands what LinkedIn is. It's not a job search site. It's not a sales site. It's not even a marketing site. It's the #1 professional networking site on earth. And I did this, I built this slide deck on last week in July. There's 680 million people on LinkedIn at that time, per my research, not per LinkedIn's number. About 2 new members every second. That number is pretty consistent. There are 56 million companies represented on LinkedIn in one way or another. According to LinkedIn, 40 million of them have relatively complete profiles. Listen to this stat: 25% of all LinkedIn members show up every other week, at least every other week. Now that is twice as often as what that number was reported in 2019. It's an online platform where we build our presence, our network, and our reputation through all the actions that we can do on LinkedIn. So let me start at the top with rule number 10. And Holly, I'll do a poll at the end of this. You have to have purpose when you're networking on LinkedIn. You have to have purpose. Why do you want to connect? Is it for business? Is it for career? Is it for your community? Is it just for interest, curiosity? Is it for your life? Why do you want to connect besides building a huge deck or a huge pile of connections? Is this LinkedIn member that you want to send an invite to, or you want to accept an invite to, are they your target audience? Or are they an influencer? You've got to know what your purpose is. And if you don't see the purpose, don't jump at making or accepting the connection. Figure it out first. Because if you don't do LinkedIn networking, if you don't network with a purpose, then you're just spending time not focused on a goal. Holly, can we do poll number 1? I'm gonna try to bring up just my my slide deck. So the poll's in process. Holly, I can't see it, so I'll let you manage it.
All right, looks like we still have a few votes coming in. We'll give you guys 10 more seconds.
Yeah, we have 39 people on here. We should get at least 38 votes on that poll. So, do you network on LinkedIn? I can see it in the what's it called? The screen, Holly. I got it now. 62% of you say that you have a clear purpose sometime. That's okay. I'm challenging you to think that out. 28% of you say, yes, you always have a purpose. 7% of you admitted to yourself publicly that you don't have purpose. So think about that. Challenge yourself to be a little different and a little better and have purpose when you're networking on LinkedIn. So thanks for sharing that out loud, mostly for yourself. Number 9, networking for mutual benefit. This is not only the title of a book that I wrote, but it's also a philosophy that I have. And it's wrapped around this edict that networking is finding, developing, and nurturing relationships that mutually move people forward through life. Mutually move people forward through life. Every new connection, you need to think about how could this be mutually beneficial to them and to me. And you got to just ponder that so that you're making very purposeful decisions about networking. And you want to, you should, you almost need to find ways to help others as you're networking. Otherwise, that's what's called one-way Charles Street or just downright selfish. And another reason why it's important to network for mutual benefit when you're connecting on LinkedIn is that you never know when a connection that you thought of someone you would help could turn out to be someone who can help you. This is rich. This is really important because call it what you want, life, God, or karma. If you help others, you may also get help in return and you don't even see it coming. It's just going to happen. But if you're not willing to network for mutual benefit and you're only all about helping yourself and you don't really care about anybody else, how does that feel? How does that sound? How do you think your networker is going to perceive that? So be very purposeful about networking for mutual benefit. Be willing to help others. And I promise you, it can come back to you. By the way, if you have any questions, use the chat box and drop questions in and Holly will bring them up. Rule number 8 with a poll at the end of it. Don't accept every LinkedIn invite just because. It's not going to work for you. Are these people who send you invites relevant to you? Do you see the relevance in either their messaging, which most people don't use, maybe not most, many don't use? Do you see the relevance in their profile? Very purposeful for me. When I get a LinkedIn invite, if I don't see the relevance in the messaging, I quickly click to their profile. If I don't quickly see the relevance, then this is what I do. I ask them. And you can do that in LinkedIn. I ask very deliberately, how do you find me? I tell them what I do, and then I ask them, how could I help you before I accept the invite? And I give them time, 1 week, to respond. If they don't answer, or if their answer is clearly a sales pitch, then I need to decide, do I really want their widget? Do I need their widget? Or should I simply hit the ignore button? And often I tell people to hit the ignore button with no hesitations once you've vetted them. This is business. This is not about collecting stuff. And in business, you do things very tactically, purposefully. My process is a little bit different, in that what I do, because LinkedIn is my sandbox, what I do is I invite them to follow me. And you don't have to do that, but it works for me. I have a huge number of LinkedIn followers, and that makes me money. But LinkedIn may not be the most important place for you to create followers. It may be, may not be, but have a purpose and don't accept every invite just because. The poll, Holly, can we do that poll? See, we have 40 people on here. We should be able to get 38 or 39 people to respond.
All right, Teddy, while everybody's voting, we've got a question. Someone says, do you in-mail with the invite?
You don't need to use in-mails with invites. They're standalone solutions. When you send an invite, you have the ability to send a message. So you should always send a message. If you want to message someone without the desire to connect, then you can use in-mails. Oh, okay, there's the poll. So do you vet every new LinkedIn invite before you accept it? So it looks like a majority of you said yes. Some said no, some said sometimes. But I'm offering you that LinkedIn is not, you can only get 30,000 connections. And furthermore, why the heck would you want 30,000 connections? You can't manage that. It's not real. There are not 30,000 people on LinkedIn who have a need for what you do or uberly interested in what you do. That's fact, no matter what people will tell you. So don't just collect LinkedIn invites for the sake of collect them. Be purposeful about who you connect with. So there's lots of other negative reasons that you, or maybe important reasons for why you don't want 30,000 connections. It's a conversation for another day. Rule number 7, don't jump to sending invites to people who don't know you. It's really important. Don't be that person who sends invites out to every Tom, Dick, and Harry and they don't know you yet. First of all, because they don't know you, they may not want to accept that invite. They may not even be using LinkedIn regularly enough to see your invite. So that could just be a waste of time to invite somebody who's not even using LinkedIn. And it's not a race. Building a meaningful LinkedIn network is a journey. It is a long-term journey. So there's other ways to get to those people rather than just simply sending invites. The goal is not just to connect. The goal is to connect with the right people and to get into the right conversations, ultimately move them to business conversations. So sending an invite could be a immature action, a premature action, maybe both immature and premature. Could be, a sign of desperation and a lack of process. Remember, a LinkedIn connection does not make business. There's lots of other things you need to do beyond connecting. And furthermore, you don't have to connect to be able to create business opportunities with people you discover on LinkedIn. There's other ways of doing that. So I've got clients that I've gotten who my primary contact there is not even on LinkedIn. And I'm a LinkedIn strategist. And I'm okay with that because he wants me to, or she wants me to help his people, not themselves. So don't jump at sending invites to people who don't know you. Here's the 6th rule. Seek introductions. This is rich. This is the best way to connect on LinkedIn. Warm introductions are the most beneficial ways to connect with your target audience. If you build a relevant and meaningful LinkedIn network and you network for mutual benefit, imagine what your network can do to help you. Well, remember, it's networking for mutual benefit. How can you help them? This is probably one of the most powerful aspects of networking on LinkedIn. If you connected with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, 30,000 people, and you didn't have any relationship with them, they're not likely to help you. But if you're purposeful about connecting and you're purposeful about our other actions on LinkedIn, then your network is more likely to want to help you. And when you ask for introductions, don't look at the first mutual connection and ask them. Look for the best person in those mutual connections that you already know and who trust, respect, and like you. That's the person to ask for an introduction. And if they don't know that other person well, tell them, thank you for the conversation, but I don't need your help. Because you want someone who has some level of relationship with that other person to make that warm introduction. Really important to do that. And I have a clearly defined script for this. I've been using this for years, and I adjust it a little bit every now and then based on the person, make it more personal, et cetera, et cetera. But my script is pretty deliberate. I will very clearly ask Holly, do you know this person well? Do you think this is the person I should talk with regarding what I do in, regarding XYZ? If so, would you do me a huge favor and send that person an email, copy me on the message, and introduce me to that person? My script's pretty clear, often written well enough, not often, always written well enough that Holly could just forward it on to the person that I want her to connect me with. Pretty purposeful actions, all about getting a warm introduction from somebody who already trusts, respects, and likes me. The greatest way to build a LinkedIn network is through your existing network, who already trust, respect, and like you. Here's rule number 5. Bump into your target audience first. This is a great alternative to introductions. And if you can't get an introduction, then find a way to engage with that person before you send them an invite. Discover their own post on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Quora, their blog, their podcast, their book on Amazon.com, their website, wherever. Find some way to engage with them socially / publicly so that they know who you are. They can see how you think, what your perspectives are based on your engagement on their content. Engage on their content in meaningful ways. Don't just go, oh, cool, thanks a lot, Seth Godin, and think he's going to trust and respect and like you because of that, because he gets that all day long. And make sure you also engage in relevant way. So the content that you're engaging on is all about cat wrestling, then your engagement should be about cat wrestling. That is a satirical analogy I'm using. If their content is all about leadership, then you should engage in how leadership ideas and philosophies have helped you grow. Very intentional style of bumping into people meaningfully and relevantly. And then maybe you can tag them and or their business in your comment or in your share of their content. Again, the goal there is to pull them into the conversation, to let them get a notification that you engaged. It's really rich way to pull people or bump people into your conversations, tagging them. Share their content in your own network, tagging them, again, where relevant and appropriate. They're really important to think that way. Because when you bump into people on social media and they see how you think, they'll go look at your profile. Well, now they no longer don't know you. They clearly, in some simple way, know who you are. And then maybe give them a little bit of time to see if they'll engage back. And if they engage back, then take the conversation where it's going to go, then follow up with an invite to connect on LinkedIn. I've connected with a lot of really cool people because I bumped into their content on Quora, YouTube, their podcast. Listen to their podcast. Don't just tag their podcast. Watch their YouTube video or videos and comment on it. Don't just tag them on Twitter. Look and see what their conversations are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I've created some really cool connections that are developing into really cool relationships because of these activities. Rule number 4. By the way, any questions, drop them in the chat and or be prepared to engage with them at the end of this session. Always include a personal note in every LinkedIn invite. No ifs, ands, or buts to that at all. It's important because this is like if I'm just doling out business cards to everybody I walk by, and I've seen those people. And what do you think of those people who just walk by, you bump into, you hand you a business card and run off to the next person? What's the value in that? I mean, I've got boxes of business cards that I've collected over the years that I use for props today. I don't need business cards. I want to know why you want to connect. I want to understand your perspective. I want to understand how I could potentially help you or how you could potentially help me. Or do you want to have a conversation? Who do you know that introduced me to you? How do you find me? And it's also another tactic behind these personal notes is it leaves a breadcrumb in their inbox. So they'll get a message, and when they accept, it'll drop that message in their inbox. It used to put it in there beforehand. Now it puts it in after. I don't understand that. Maybe I do. But leaving a breadcrumb behind is important because then they go to their inbox and maybe for a little while, might not be for a day or 2 or 3, depending upon how many messages they're getting, you'll be a little bit top of mind. There's Teddy again. Hey, Teddy's still there. There's Teddy again. And it might encourage them to want to learn more about you. It does help set the tone for future messaging when you very clearly make that personal note about them, about what you discovered about them, about your interest in them and or their business. It's not, remember, the note is about one thing and one thing only, and that's connecting. It is not about selling your widget or your magical ice cream. The note should be encouragement for making the connection, nothing more. Personal notes are important. Otherwise, you're not really showing that person that you care enough about them. Without a personal note, you're showing them that all you're about is making a new connection, building your LinkedIn network. And please don't ever put in your personal note, I'd like to connect with you and add you to my personal network because I'm trying to grow my network. I don't care about that. What I do care about is how I can help you. It's really important. Let's go to number 3. Manage your sent and your received invites on a regular basis. Don't let them pile up. That's failure. It becomes, one of the reasons it becomes overwhelming. I've seen people who have hundreds and hundreds of LinkedIn invites and they just never got to it. And then they either just hit accept on all of them or they hit ignore on all of them just to purge it out. I've seen people who've had hundreds and hundreds and thousands of sent invites that have never been accepted. And that can cause a problem as well. That you have to go withdraw them, which today takes 3 clicks to withdraw an invite. 3 clicks to withdraw an invite. So if you get those all piled up, that'll wear you out. It'll give you cramps in your finger. Don't know why LinkedIn, well, I do know why LinkedIn did that. They want to push people to be more purposeful about their invites. And so that the penalty of not being purposeful is you clean it up, it takes forever. And by the way, I do remember working with a business owner probably about a year or so ago, who missed out on a business opportunity because he did not see that invite, did not accept it, and didn't follow through with other processes. He missed out on business. He knows he did. And if you have too many invites that you've sent out that have not been accepted, then LinkedIn could penalize you and force you to know that person's email address before you send new invites. Another huge reason for why you should manage your invites and not let them get too large. I'm an advocate for keep that list under 200 sent invites. And if they haven't accepted it in a month, just withdraw it and come back to it later. And when you do manage your invites, then you want to be very purposeful about responding to all accepted invites. I use the words immediately. Immediately. It's important to do. And yeah, I've seen that where a business owner, and I'm not going to use his name because he is in the triad, I asked him, I said, where do you keep the business cards you collect at networking events? Well, he showed me a pile of them off to the corner of his desk. I said, well, that's a pretty small pile. It's not so bad. He opened up his left-hand desk drawer and we looked in there and it was full. And I said, that's horrible. And then he opened up the lower right drawer and it was full. Why? Why do we collect business cards? Why do we collect LinkedIn invites and not do anything with them? That's a huge missed opportunity, huge potential for a missed opportunity. Talking about rule number 2. Give away your network as often as you can. My LinkedIn network is a part of my most important asset in life. And this asset I give away freely. And you've got to manage your network so that you have something of value that you can give away. That's important, that you can help others with by introducing each other to them, to other people. You've got to nurture this asset, diversify this asset, and again, give it away. Think about that. Pay attention to it, nurture it, diversify it. I'm a huge fan of making sure that I connect with people in a very broad way. I don't just connect with sales leaders who are my target audience. I connect with business developers, sales trainers. I connect with corporate trainers. I connect with learning and development professionals, talent development professionals. I connect with people, with business owners, business leaders, CEOs, chief operating officers, all across all the areas of business. I also connect with my friends across the triad in North Carolina, the country, and the globe. I connect with people in different industries. I connect with people in different roles who are relevant to me in lots of different ways. Why? Because I can help them and they can help me. And because the more diverse my network is, the more rich it is with ideas, philosophies, best practices, tactics. I'm a huge fan, and I will tell all of you on this call that if there is someone that you want to meet, and if we're connected, and you discover that I know that person, you don't have to wait. Just send me an email. Teddy, I see you know this lady named Monzi. I would like to talk with Monzi about X. Would you do me a huge favor if you can? Introduce me to Monzi or Holly or John or Bill or Steve. And if I can do it, I will do it. Why do I do that? Because it's called networking for mutual benefit. And I know that if I do that, I know that if I give my network away, it'll come back to me. And by the way, when I'm making these introductions and helping people meet other people, I really want you to get into a conversation, make a connection, get into a conversation. Make the conversation all about the other person before you try to make it about yourself. Oh, by the way, I don't do matchmaking anymore. My wife told me to not do that anymore. I'm joking, but I don't do it. So give away your network, help other people. It's a powerful way to get value from your LinkedIn network. Rule number 1, and by the way, I have some bonuses as well that I'm going to share with you. Always engage immediately. I mentioned this earlier. This is critical. There's no business value in building a huge LinkedIn network of people you've never engaged with in a meaningful way. When I accept a LinkedIn invite, I immediately engage. Now you have to decide based on the person that you connected with and their relevance to you. How do you want to engage with them? Do you want to call them? Do you want to email them? Do you want to send them a LinkedIn audio message or video message or a text message? There's lots of ways to do it. And if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, I'd add, do you want to stop in and say hi? And when you make that initial engagement, that initial conversation, make it all about them. This is important. You'll get permission to talk about yourself if you start by making it all about them. If they're interested in you, if they're not interested in you, then why would you want to waste time talking about yourself anyway? They're not interested. Hopefully you've done enough due diligence before connecting to realize their relevance to your widget or your product.
Teddy, I've got somebody wanting to know more about the LinkedIn audio messages.
I knew that, and I'll come back to it in a minute. This immediate engagement is all about starting the relationship off right. And if you do it right, then you can create opportunities to move into deeper conversations, richer conversations, business or sales discussions, or get that next introduction to that next person you should meet. Really important to do this. Otherwise, all we're doing is collecting digital business cards. Okay, so the audio and or video message via LinkedIn is only available through the mobile app. And if you go to the mobile app and you bring up any person you're connected to, first level, you can only do this as first level connections. You look in the, if I bring it up on my screen just so I can say it right, go to messaging. Here's a message. I'm gonna click on Kimberly. Then if I click on the plus where I'm gonna write a message, you'll see that I can do attachment, photo, camera, video. I can do a GIF, location, availability, or mention. But on the right of that box is a little microphone. If you hold your finger on that microphone, you can record an audio message. It's a great way to differentiate yourself when you're engaging with people. You get a 1-minute audio file. So powerful to do, but don't use an audio or video message to go buy my widget. Use an audio or a video message to make the conversation all about the other person and drive them into a deeper conversation. And in today's world, do it via Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or Google, whatever. Always engage immediately. I have some bonus rules I want to share with you. It's not a race, it's a journey. You've got to remember that. This is a long-term journey. It's not a race. Make a new LinkedIn connection every day. Make a new connection every day. Take off Saturday and Sundays, do 7 and 5 days. Learn to use the LinkedIn search tools. And I didn't get into that, but this is important. You need to understand how to use LinkedIn search to build highly focused lists. Don't compare your network to other people. That's stupid. Make your network rich and meaningful, regardless of the size. And remember this, the next LinkedIn connection could be your most important connection ever. So keep connecting meaningfully. Hey, Holly, can we do the poll number 4 now, please? So go ahead. Have you created business? Answer this question. Have you created business directly from your LinkedIn networking activities?
Got a question while people are voting. Is LinkedIn Premium necessary?
It is necessary if you are a serious prospector. That's my answer. If you're running into what's called the commercial use limit, you're not able to build and look at lists on as often as you want, then LinkedIn Premium or Sales Navigator become very useful. But if you're not prospecting on a regular basis, and if you've never hit the commercial use limit, save your money. Oh, come here. Don't do that to me. All right. So 40 some percent say you have not. 20 some percent, 27, I think that number is, say you have gotten business because of your LinkedIn networking. That's great. 18% of you, I think it's looks like you say maybe, and maybe it's 15%. Another 15% say you're not sure. Well, this is important. This is really important. LinkedIn is a business tool. And as with any other business tool, you should be measuring the results, measuring the value, measuring the return on investment. And you don't need to get anal about this. You don't need to get overly picky about it, but you should be thinking about it on a regular basis when you're doing your work using LinkedIn as a business tool. Here's another bonus rule. Pay attention to your LinkedIn network. Sometimes I say, pay serious attention. Don't ignore the LinkedIn alerts or notifications. By the way, I turn off all alerts via email. I get I get a few that are really important to me, but most of them I turn off. I don't need an email. I'm in LinkedIn every day. So I got my notifications. I got my network. I can see what's going on. I don't need to have an email coming to me. But don't ignore what LinkedIn is saying to you. And don't ignore birthdays, career shifts, anniversaries, et cetera, their content. This is a huge missed opportunity. Think about it. If your biggest prospect posted something meaningful, shouldn't you touch it? If your biggest prospect is celebrating a 15-year career anniversary, shouldn't you acknowledge it? If your biggest prospect just had a birthday, shouldn't you look for a way to say hello? And by the way, if your biggest prospect just left, a medium-sized company and went and joined a huge organization, don't you want to know about that? So don't ignore these alerts. They're all opportunities to engage as well, opportunities to nurture the relationship. So pay attention. PSA, pay serious attention to these alerts because they're there to help you grow your relationships, grow your network, create opportunities for conversations. Here's another bonus rule. Connect at multiple points. Connecting on LinkedIn is just one of the steps. For me, I look for other ways to connect in email and connect with my target audience in other ways. So I don't have just one channel for engagement. Are you following their company page? Are you connected with them or that individual where relevant and appropriate on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Quora, Snapchat, TikTok? Don't discount TikTok yet. That's going to be a missed opportunity if you do. But I'm not saying it's for everyone. But what I'm saying to you is some of my best connections, some of my biggest clients, I am Facebook friends. We follow each other on Twitter. They follow my YouTube channel. I follow I follow theirs. I follow their company page, and I'm connected with them and multiple members of their team on LinkedIn. So think about connecting on multiple points. Because the more you can connect all around your target audience and their influencers and their team and their company, the more opportunities you have to learn, to share, and to engage. So really think about, like, the huge conversation. People sometimes are not a fan of my philosophy of connecting with people on Facebook. Now, by the way, my Facebook news feed is rich, not chaotic. That's because I manage my Facebook friends and I manage who I follow. And I don't follow people who are full of conflict and drama. I don't have time for that. But many of my LinkedIn connections are also Facebook friends. Many of my clients are Facebook friends. And that's important to me. By the way, I should have put Instagram on there. That's an important one to me as well. Multiple ways of connecting and staying aware and creating opportunities to engage in multiple channels. And when you start engaging with your LinkedIn network, remember, it has to be true. It all has to be true. And by the way, I want to go get my slide on that. This is, let me ask this question. Anybody on, Holly, could you monitor the chat? Does anybody on here know where this statement come from? It has to be true. Is it fair to all concerned? Does anybody know where this came from? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Does anybody know where I got that from?
I see the answer, Rotary.
It is Rotary's 4-way test. And it's just as important in real life as it is on social media, including LinkedIn. Really important. My philosophy is it true? Is it transparent? No smoke and mirrors. Is it relevant? Relevant to my target audience and to my business? Is it useful to the people I'm sharing it with when I'm engaging and sharing content? Is it useful to them in different ways? Is it honest? Dale Carnegie taught me never criticize, condemn, or complain. Always be honest. Is it engaging, exciting, entertaining, or educational? And it can be any of that, as long as it's also transparent, relevant, useful, and honest. Your network wants true content. They don't want you to sell them until it's time. By the way, I'm going to give one more statement about this, and that is, think about your content. Think about the 90-10 rule. 90% of your content should not be about you. It should be relevant to you, but it should not be about you. It should always be about your target audience. And if 90% of what you give to your network, is not about you, then 10% of the time they'll let you talk about you. It's important philosophies. Holly, any other questions?
What should you do if people keep sending you invites and you don't know who they are?
So I get this because I immediately engage with them and ask them, hey, Holly, thanks for the invite. Really appreciate it. How'd you find me? Who referred me to you? What can I do to help you? And I look forward to your reply. I give everybody an option to tell me the answers to those questions. I got one going on today. Guy sends me an invite. He sent me an invite in 2019, sent me one in 2017. And each time I've sent him pretty much the same message, and he doesn't respond to it. So today I responded to him. I said, hey, Victor, let's call him Victor. I said, Victor, for 3 years, you've been wanting to connect with me, but you've never told me why, and you've never engaged with me in the context of why. So I'm giving you one more week to respond. And if you don't respond, I'm going to block you. So ask them why. If they don't want to respond, ignore them. If they get pushy, block them. What other questions?
Should I remove old connections who are not relevant to me today?
Well, that's important. Think about this. So I've got these connections I've made over the years. I spent 35 years in the IT industry, and I got really serious about using LinkedIn in 2005. So I've got a lot of connections that are in the technology industry. Well, I'm now a social media strategist. So they're not overly relevant to me, but I'm not going to remove them. Here's why. I may be able to help them. They may be able to help me. They may know someone I need to know. I may know someone they need to know. So no, I don't remove people who their relevance diminishes or changes unless they become a problem. The only way I ever remove a connection is if they become a problem.
Is
What
there
other
a way
questions?
got one more. Is there a way to keep noisy people out of my newsfeed without disconnecting?
Yep, and I've been using that more and more on LinkedIn and Facebook, and unfollowing people on Twitter and Instagram. On LinkedIn and Facebook, the way you do it is you unfollow them. Now, Facebook actually has a feature called snooze them. So I can snooze their noise for 30 days. But both of them also have an unfollow feature. So I can stay connected to people on LinkedIn and just unfollow their content, which means it won't show up in my newsfeed. And that's important to do. Your newsfeed is important to you. Make it more important. Unfollow those who are not, their content's not relevant or too noisy.
What should I do if someone won't accept my LinkedIn invite to connect?
Oh my golly, I would stomp my feet and scream. No. If you send an invite to someone they don't accept, it's typically because of one of two things. And typically it's because they don't know your relevance to them. And you didn't position yourself relevant to them. The other reason that they may not accept is because they're not using LinkedIn the way you're using LinkedIn. They may not be on LinkedIn enough, or they're just not interested in connecting. So what I recommend you do is give it a month. If they don't accept it, withdraw it. Go to the LinkedIn, manage your network, go to the invitation manager, click on send and withdraw it. Then find someone that you know well, who knows that person well, and ask them for an introduction. Do this outside of LinkedIn. And maybe you can get an introduction, and maybe with a warm introduction, they'll be open to a conversation. Don't focus so much on, I gotta make that connection. If that person is really important to your business, a target audience, someone, an influencer who can really help you, or you can really help them, then try to make that connection outside of LinkedIn through an introduction. Holly, any other questions?
Would someone be relevant to you if you didn't see a prospect or a future client or influencer?
Oh, absolutely.
Did I
Think about
understand
that.
that right?
Yeah, I get that. Are people relevant to me just because I can't make business for them, or they can't introduce me to someone to make business? Look, I follow some smart people, and I'm connected to some really smart people on LinkedIn. People who make me think, who throw down ideas that really get me to look at how I do things, how I grow my business, how I do the things I do in life. I've connected with people who have helped me build my YouTube channel with ideas. I've connected with people who have given me new insights on how to socially engage, how to use a podcast, how to do things, people with new ideas about business. That's rich. You don't just connect for business. You connect for life, career, business, community, ideas, perspectives. It's all kinds of ways we connect with people including on LinkedIn.
So this goes back to the topic of noisy people in your news feed. What if they want some of their content, but not all of it?
So you can go to their profile, click on their activity. You said shows all activity. And when you click from their profile, click on see all activity, and then you can see all their posts. You can see all their documents, all their articles, and you can see all their engagement. So if the person's important to you, but they're way too noisy, then just go to their profile every now and then and consume what you want to consume.
Right. Those are some good questions, you guys. If anyone else has a question, just take a moment and type it into our questions pane.
And by the way, I'm going to email everyone today's presentation. I'm going to give everyone my gift of 20 questions about LinkedIn and the answers you need to everyone who registered for this conversation. You'll get that email from me probably in the next 2 or 3 days. And if I can help anyone, don't ever hesitate to reach out and ask me a question.
I don't see any other questions. I just have someone says it's a great program, and thank you.
Cool. How do I go back? I guess that's, I hit stop share.
Yep, so I don't see your screen anymore. Are we ready to wrap it up?
Unless anybody has, I'm not in a hurry to leave. If you want me to stay around, I'm happy to stay around.
Let's see. I see another thank you, very valuable in the comments. Lots of great comments. Awesome job as usual. Great refresher. All right, Teddy, thank you so much for presenting this program. It was great. Again, anybody has any questions, continue to reach out to us, reach out to Teddy. Check out our website for any future GMA program that may be of use to you and your colleagues. And again, be sure to take a moment to complete the survey. You will get in an email shortly.
Holly, thank you very much. You guys have a great day.
All right, thanks everybody.